So can we? So for he's a jolly good fellow.
Maybe we should do it separately, and then we can do it.
No, come on. 1, 2, 3.
For he's a jolly good fellow. I said for he's that time. For he's a for he's a jolly good fellow, and nobody will survive. I'm about to lose my mind. What is this, hour 10?
Oh, the 10th hour of a marathon, and every marathon comes with a part what they call runner's fatigue.
This is the marathon no one asked for, but we're doing it because we're absolute total fanboys of this series.
I'm on my 10th beer. I'm going 2 per movie. 10th beer means we're getting up there.
You find as we progress further on into this marathon and the beers are going down even faster, that life is becoming more and more cheap.
Oh, nothing breeds alcoholism like loneliness at the end of the world.
So we decided tonight that we're only going to celebrate the Paramount years part 1 to 8. Why would we exclude part 9, Jason Goes to Hell?
Not a Paramount movie.
Well, besides the fact it's not a Paramount movie. Did you like part 9, by the way?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed part 9. It wasn't the best Friday movie, but listen, I've seen a whole lot worse. My expectations are very low when it comes to movies.
I think it absolutely sucks.
Alright, so obviously you don't like part 9. Tell me why.
Hates it.
Hates it. Why do you hate it so much?
I knew where it was going to be heading, and I found it was really disrespectful. And also, it actually stole from The Hidden.
I love how you call it disrespectful.
We're not talking Tennessee Williams here, I understand that.
You should be a movie reviewer. I'd love to see you sitting across from someone. Well, Friday night, it was disrespectful. It was playing down disrespectful of me, of Jason's legacy, of everything that came before it.
It was, though.
It was a real bitch slap of a movie.
We're going to celebrate all the different actors who played Jason Voorhees in all the different parts of the movies, and we're also going to take a look at the special effects artists.
Philip, we're at a significant advantage when we talk about the men behind the mask, because you've got the most extensive collection of Jason busts on Earth.
So, without further ado, we're going to drag you survivors into this little historical journey into Paramount Pictures, Friday the 13th, Jason Voorhees. Fuck it. The bust. Jason or bust.
You're going to Camp Blood, ain't you?
God damn it, Ralph. Get out of here. Go on, get. Leave people alone.
You'll never come back again.
Oh, shut up, Ralph.
It's got a death curse. Messenger of God, you're doomed if you stay here. This place is cursed. Cursed.
Spoiler alert, Jason Voorhees is not the killer in this film.
Pamela.
Oh, I couldn't let them open this place again. Could I? Not after what happened. Oh, my sweet, innocent Jason. My only child. Jason.
Pamela Voorhees. It was a celebration of moms everywhere.
Because what mother wouldn't do what she did? Alright, so do you have a bust of Pamela Voorhees?
No, I don't have a bust of Pamela Voorhees. The closest thing to it, I have a really kind of cheap version of the severed head from part 2, but we're leaping ahead here.
Okay, so no.
Hey, we're leaping ahead here.
Oh, I get it. How old is he when he leaps out of that pond?
Don't ask about any form of sensible chronology to the Friday the 13th series, or you'll go absolutely mad like Pamela Voorhees.
Would you say he's a 13-year-old child, a 14-year-old child?
Well, the actor who played him was actually Ari Lehman, and he was 14 years old.
Okay, so 14-year-old Jason comes out. I gotta tell you, this is one of the creepiest images ever.
Well, it's not just that he's a 14-year-old boy. He jumps out and he's actually described as a 14-year-old. Well, he was actually described as a mongoloid.
It was a different time. It was a different time. And can I ask a question? When he drowned, was he a mongoloid? Or did he become a mongoloid when he drowned?
Yeah, the water soaked into his flesh and he swelled. No, he was actually he was a special needs child who was at this camp with his mother.
Was Camp Crystal Lake a special needs camp? Was it like the Easter Seals?
No, it's just that Pamela Voorhees was just a cook for there, and she, I guess, wanted to shelter and protect her son. It's not like you could send Jason to school without him experiencing a lot of torture and torment. So she had him side by side with her. She was busy cooking, and the teenagers that were supposed to be watching, they weren't paying attention to poor Jason. They were busy making love.
Oh gosh. I went to summer camp once, and that was not my experience. I don't think anybody was making love. It was a Seventh-day Adventist camp, though.
There was a lot of dry humping, Corey. Give it up.
Oh, you weren't even allowed to eat meat.
This whole Friday the 13th debacle wouldn't have even been an issue if they went to the Seventh-day Adventist camp.
This is more like this is a parable.
This movie is a cautionary tale.
Don't be at that.
What makes this film so incredibly creepy is the special effects in this film.
Mr. Tom Savini?
Mr. Tom Savini, fresh from Dawn of the Dead.
What a storied career.
Savini was also a military photographer, so he saw some realistic, nasty shit, and it had an effect on him. And I think that part of his post-traumatic stress therapy was actually throwing himself headlong into these violent, gruesome slasher films. And he always said that looking through the camera didn't seem real. It almost seemed like a movie.
This show's taking a stark turn.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Friday the 13th Part 1 was the very first independent film that actually got major distribution from Paramount Pictures.
This mini episode is gonna go on forever.
Scare anyone. But I'm gonna give it to you straight about Jason. His body was never recovered from the lake after he drowned. And if you listen to the old timers in town, they'll tell you he's still out there. Demented creature.
Jason! It's all done, Jason. You've done your job well, and Mommy is pleased. That's a good boy. Now come to Mommy. Come on. Come on.
Friday the 13th Part 2, the body count continues.
I love Friday the 13th Part 2.
I love it too. He doesn't have the iconic hockey mask yet. He's just pillow sack head man in this film.
I almost find the pillow head scarier than the hockey mask.
You remember the movie The Town That Dreaded Sundown?
Yes.
There was a lot of copying going on in Friday the 13th Part 2. They stole from a lot of Giallo films.
The double impaling from Bay of Blood.
What did you think about Jason when he was finally unmasked in that film?
Yeah, well, I always in my head did a side-by-side comparison, like, is that little boy? And I would often think if there was an FBI photo of Jason missing at 14 and here he was at like 30, would it be the progression into that? Because I actually think he's gotten more disfigured. I don't want to say more retarded, obviously.
No, more mongoloid is the politically correct term.
More mongoloid. But terrifying, absolutely.
Yeah, he's definitely gone through puberty. I don't know how old Jason is in that film.
He always reminded me of Sloth from Goonies.
He also had like that neck beard that reminded me of Hans Klopek from The Burbs. So are we to believe that Jason didn't really drown? Pamela killed all those people because Jason didn't come forward and say, hey mom, I'm still alive? Like, everything could have been avoided.
Oh, so what you mean is, had he lived in that pond for 14 years, in this movie, they presuppose that he then got out of the pond, oh, it was a lake, sorry, got out of the lake, don't know the difference between a lake and a pond, never have.
But it's called Camp Crystal Lake.
Right, Camp Crystal Pond. That sounds like a beautiful movie about old people.
On Golden Lake.
In the meantime, he's at the lake, and now he's living in the woods as a hillbilly?
How big is Camp Crystal Lake, that whole grounds? Because in all those years that he was supposedly missing, no one saw this naked little feral child who actually set up his own little home, which is a movie in itself.
You know what? They need to make a prequel.
Him just going into like a lumber store, just, like ripping off lumber and like hammering away, and because it's not a bad shack.
He was actually a talented carpenter.
He is a Jesus. He's a Christ figure in this film. He actually looks like Jesus.
Well, he looks like Mongoloid Jesus, I suppose you could say.
Either way, he has risen.
he is risen. Wow. So what we've discovered is part 2 is a Christ allegory.
See, that we're being so shallow and we're all hung up on appearances. Tom Savini did not return in part 2. The makeup effects were carried out by Carl Fullerton. Carl Fullerton was actually an assistant makeup man to Dick Smith. So I think Tom was just like, wanted to carry on with his slasher thing, and he wanted to do The Prowler and Maniac. So he said, I'm done with Friday the 13th. And actually, I don't think he really liked the direction that they were going.
So Philip, who plays Jason in part 2?
Kind of controversial. It was actually billed as Warrington Gillette. Warrington Gillette did a lot of the early film sequences, but he was just a young kid. He didn't have any stunt background, and he couldn't cope. So midway and towards the end scenes, who you're looking at is actually a stuntman named Steve Dash. Part 2 didn't make the same amount of money that part 1 did.
Missed out on the most important film in the series, The Christ Allegory.
Kind and generous young people, look on what His grace has brought unto me.
What is that?
I found this today. There were other parts of the body.
That's an eyeball!
But he said he wanted me to have this. Yes, he wanted me to warn you. Look upon this omen and go back from whence ye came. I have warned thee.
Friday the 13th, part 3, 3D.
Well, I gotta tell you, this is one of my faves.
That's funny because it's probably my least favorite in the series.
What?
Big dip in quality. The acting is atrocious.
Stay with me.
Why should I?
Because I want you to.
Don't play fair, do you?
Wow, I always hold part 3 in such high regard.
A lot of people do. It's just, I think they were so hung up with the new technology. Friday the 13th Part 3 was revolutionary. Don't get me wrong. You know, they started this wave of 3D mania. It is the first time that we see Jason get the mask. But I find that the characters are really starting to be just cardboard stand-ins for Jason to kill. There's nothing likable about any of these characters. It's also got a kind of a mean-spirited vibe. Not as bad as part 5. But yeah, no, it's just, I found that the actors, I think they were so hell-bent on the actual 3D technology and filming that they didn't spend much time on the directing.
Just so I want to get this cleared out, I want to build a timeline. So, from part 2 to part 3, what's Jason up to that whole time? Like, he crawls away.
No, he just took a pickaxe. No, he just took a pickaxe to the shoulder, and he just jumped through the window and grabbed Jenny. I don't know what he did with Paul. Paul just disappears. But in the meantime, when part 3 starts, Jason's on the ground. He's grown considerably, and he has a full body wax.
As one does.
I'm going out on the town. This one's gonna be in 3D. I want to look marvelous.
I'm sick of looking like Jesus.
This is the secular Friday the 13th. Yeah, no, he has a full body wax, and he actually ditches the coveralls and the blue plaid, and for some reason decides to get naked and change clothes. Now he wants the iconic green shirt and Well, he has gray pants in this film.
So he's found a look that works, and he sticks with that look after that, right? He's like a career woman who's found a magic pantsuit, and she just won't let it go. She's wearing it to every interview. She's like, it's a powerful, powerful woman in her pantsuit. He found something with Tude that pulls off what he's about, which is killing people.
Absolutely, but he hasn't yet discovered the brooch that ties the ensemble together, which is his hockey mask, which he gets from probably the top 3 most annoying Friday the 13th victims of all time. Fucking Shelley, man.
Well, I gotta tell you, you have an unnecessarily harsh view of these movies. I thought these characters were charming.
Can I buy you 2 guys a beer or something?
I love a lot of the Friday the 13th kids, but Shelley is not one of them, man.
Oh, you're fat-shaming Shelley.
Wait till you find out my least favorite. Anybody worth their salt is probably going to be able to predict, but he also has a weight problem. But let's not leap to that part right now.
All right. All right. So, how do you feel about Jason's face?
Jason's face, actually, if you look at it, is not that different what we see on the screen to part 2, except, like we said, he's got a haircut and he's actually well groomed.
Does he get that done at a salon or like in Crystal? What's the outskirts of Crystal Lake called?
I think it's Crystal Lake. That's the whole area.
Oh, okay. Well, do you think he gets his head shaved at Crystal Lake?
No, I think he just got up, and probably when he jumped through the window and grabbed Paul, he probably shook Paul down and asked him could he see his cabin, and asked him could he borrow his Gillette. And then he cleaned up.
He shaved his head, and then he killed Paul.
He then killed Paul. He shaved Paul down too, for old time's sake.
You know what? It makes sense though. He probably oh, you know what? This movie's actually beautiful. I'm going to post something about this you probably haven't thought. So, he shaves his head to be bald, more like he was when he was an innocent child. This movie is a look back. You know, we always have that moment in life where we look back at what could have been. And he's looking back to his youth.
It's a wistful Jason is also like done with the puberty of part 2. He's done, he's become a man. He's also a lot hornier in this film. It's also implied that he actually is a bit rapey.
Oh, well.
No, not well. It's insinuated that he actually raped Chris. He is he's always ghoulishly laughing and smiling in this film.
Yeah, okay, and you know what? And he's still very human-like in this, almost. Like, you can see a progression. Like, if he climbed out of that pond or lake, if he climbed out the lake,
you gotta get with it. It's called Camp Crystal Lake, man.
I can't get pond out of my head. I don't know why.
But one thing I gotta say, that wasn't the original makeup effects. What you see in the end was actually Alan A. Apone. I do believe that's how it's pronounced. That was his makeup. Originally, it was actually Academy Award winner Stan Winston, who had a completely different take on Jason.
Stan Winston?
Stan Winston was actually part 3 originally makeup artist and designer for Jason.
What?
Yeah, but they were like, nah, we don't like it, so they decided to go with the Alan A. Apone take.
Okay, so where do you rate this one? You happy with Jason in this one?
It's fun. He gets his hockey mask, which is a very important, iconic image.
Probably the most iconic image in all of horror.
By accident, by the way, because the mask was just put there in place because they weren't content with the actual makeup that Stan Winston had designed.
So had they gone with Stan Winston, we wouldn't have Jason's iconic mask.
No, if they were pleased with Stan Winston, yeah, we wouldn't have that at all.
So Philip, what do you think about Mr. Richard Brooker?
He's probably one of the most underrated Jason actors. Quite frankly, he is the most acrobatic, and that had something to do with the fact that he was actually a trapeze artist.
Wow, trapeze!
He's unpredictable, and his Jason like runs and moves fast, and he actually stalks, and he relishes the kill.
Yeah, absolutely, as he should. It's his modus operandi. He's got nothing else going for him now. He's a deformed killer, and he's settled into that role.
No longer a child, no longer a mutant hillbilly. He is actually a full-blown man going through the next phase of his life. He's got a bit of money in his pocket. He's going to get a sports car now in this film.
Yeah, absolutely. When you think about it like that, but you know what? It's almost like he's gotten to middle age in this one. In some way though, like he's settled in. He didn't meet a woman, so he's really married to his job, which is killing kids, right? But he's married to it. He's committed to it. He's like, I'm gonna enjoy it. This is what I do.
He's upwardly mobile.
He's in a bungalow.